Hey, everybody, welcome to the Roofr Masterclass. I am your host, Pete, with my co host, Nick, and excited to have everybody back on with us for another round of the Roofr Masterclass here. Really kind of looking forward to this topic. It's something that we have touched on in a number of other masterclasses and, something that's come up along the way a number of times in some of the podcasts I've done over the course of the year here. And, looking forward to having this conversation with you, Nick, about the importance of having a good process and the importance of having a tool that facilitates that process, right? And I think traditionally we think, I got to have CRM and I got to have this and I got to have that, and I think we've had some good podcast folks, guests along the way, and some stuff that we've covered on the masterclass to say, maybe there are specific things that will benefit you but aren't necessarily necessary for your success. And I think that's kind of what we want to touch on here today, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think back to a podcast you did with Latif from Boss Up
Right.
Solutions that really kind of touches on this because I speak to roofers day in and day out, and a lot of people I talk to like that are just starting their business again, like a second business or their new business, they're from a sales rep, and they're always like, "What CRM do you recommend, or what systems do you recommend?" And what ends up I see happening is you really kind of start bogging down your costs. You're jumping on so many systems, but you're not using the full potential of that system. And with that, your costs go up, your productivity goes down, and it is really hard to kind of get over that first 2 year or 5 year hump.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of contractors who, immediately think, let's say I'm starting a new business, right? They immediately think like I need all this technology to be successful. I need, to have a CRM, and I gotta, have all of these other tools that are gonna, do all of these other things. And I think that we overthink it sometimes,
Mhm.
right? I think that we go in a little heavy. And like you said, the cost of some of these things can get pretty significant over the course of a year. And maybe not necessarily give us the return that we're hoping for on them. So, I think that, this is something that I am very feel very strongly about, is the use of technology and the fact that it should make your process better. It should improve your process, and it shouldn't be a situation where it becomes a hindrance or something that you have to change the way you do business to work within the constraints of that software. So, I think that uh, the first key to this, obviously, is understanding your process. And I think
Mhm.
this is where a lot of people struggle. I think this is where a lot of contractors have a hard time is could you take your process and put it down on paper right now to be able to equate to your team, right? Or relate it to your team. And I think that's where, coming from a CRM background, that was like one of the first questions we would ask is what is your process? Walk me through what happens when a customer comes in the door, and getting some of these guys to explain it, they would find right away whether or not they even really had a process that they knew, understood, or trusted, that was streamlined, and they would start to see holes in their own process. And they would ask you to make recommendations right off the bat, of,
Mhm.
hey, how could I make this better? When I start talking through it, I realize like there's some holes in this process, right?
And like if we just look at the stats straight up, we know that with roofing, it's one of those big turnover businesses. So in your first 2 years, the stats are that 85% of the businesses don't make it out of those first 2 years. The stat goes up at the first 5 year. Once you get past that 5 year mark, then you look to be good. But what I see and I hear a lot from like my roofing family and friends and stuff is that we start kind of looking too big too quick. Yes, you do need a CRM. That's very important to have a CRM, but when do you need that and what kind of features do you need in that? If you look at like the big CRMs that are out there that are, everyone knows, they have jobs, they have customers, and those are the main things there. Then they have invoicing, they have quoting maybe, and then everything else you need to tie into it, which is going to cost more each time. You got to tie in a measurement service, you need to tie in a quoting process, you need to tie in an invoicing tool. All those things start to add up. And I think it's very important. I'm again not trying to plug the podcast too much, Pete, but I think about the podcast you had with Dave Sullivan, talking about writing out that business plan and having kind of that process, like you're saying. written down and see what are the nice to haves and what are the need to haves. And what really comes down to it when you're starting up your company and getting the ball moving is your need to haves is a place to track your customers, track your jobs, and then get your quotes out. After that, you can figure out where those pieces fit, and finding a tool that kind of does almost all of them in one for one subscription price is what we love doing. And that's what a big part of like how we are able to help those small and medium sized businesses get over that hump and become a successful business. And if you're a bigger company and you're using that CRM, that's great. That's really important. And we're not saying change the like reinvent the wheel, but now you can actually take your sales team out of that, put them into a sales tool like Roofr, and drive down the cost there. I'm Italian. I'm let's not call it cheap, but I'm good with my money. Who doesn't like saving money? So if you could take people out of those seats, save the seats in there, and still run a really efficient, streamlined process, who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah. I mean, let's dive into it. Let's take the approach today of, I'm a brand new roofer, let's just say, right? Like I'm
Hmm.
new to the business. Maybe I worked as a salesperson. We see it happen quite often. I happen to be in sales and roofing. Maybe I did really well. And I'm like, you know what? I could do this. I could run a roofing company, right? So I'm gonna break out on my own and I'm gonna take on, I'm gonna start Pete's roofing here and we're gonna go down that road and see what we can do, right? And I'm gonna make $100 million a year selling roofs.
I see it. $100 million.
I've seen all the podcasts. I know exactly what to do.
Yeah,
So let's get this ball rolling. So so let's just walk through. I think that's a great point that you made earlier. The need to haves versus the wants, right? And I think understanding that right off the bat. Maybe I'm a one man show. Maybe I have one or two people. Maybe my you know aunts, my office manager on the weekends, and my cousin's my other sales guy, or whatever we got to do to get this thing rolling. And so we start. Maybe let's just say we're two or three people to start, right? So I in my mind, I may be thinking, all right, what do I need, right? Do I really need a CRM? There's only three of us.
hmm
How sophisticated are we going to be? How many jobs are we really going to be landing? Like, what volume of business are we going to be doing? Is it going to be fairly simple for us to communicate between the three of us and keep us organized? So do I need a full blown CRM or can I get away with something different, right?
exactly. And it comes down to what is that process again. In a standard situation, what you definitely need to do is know your customers, know who they are, keep their information. You don't want your CRM to be a piece of paper that's sitting on your dash that can go out when you kind of take down the window, right? So you want to know where your customers are, you want to know where those jobs are, and you want to know what's going on there. Almost as important as building out like these first steps in your process is also making sure that it's replicable. You know the word I'm trying to say there, but that you could replicate it.
Easily replicated.
Thank you. Easily replicated. Pete, that's why I am so happy you're here, or else this would be a disaster. But easily replicated so that when you do decide to grow, that you can create a standard operating procedure to scale like reasonably and very streamlined, and it's not going to take you a lot of time. So that's kind of what we kind of really focus on here with Roofr. We have our customers, our jobs, our measurements, and proposals. Really simple 4-step process, and I'll show you how to kind of walk you through this. But I kind of like thinking about it as a Russian nesting doll situation. You have your customers there, you open her up. Inside, you have one or multiple jobs for that customer, and you open up that job, and inside there, you have measurements and proposals. From there, if you need to invoice, we have an open API with a Zapier and can integrate with something like pass the data off to like a QuickBooks or a Xero or any of those situations as well. But starting off at the customers, obviously, we know customers, it's pretty self explanatory, but what are the need to haves in this? Well, their name, their phone number, their email, and when they were created on. You could then, in our system, assign it to a certain person. But once you open up that, you can see the job that is there as well. Some people have one job, multiple jobs if you're an investor that you're dealing with, but having it all organized so that in a snap of a finger, you can find that information out because you don't want to have a situation where person phones you up and says, hey, it's Aaron McKentry over here. I just have some issues over here. I just want to know. And you just hear like the flipping around on the paper, trying to find out where that person's information in your Rolodex, because in my mind it's the 1980s. Uh, but that's the kind of situation that you can kind of really streamline with something like this. And you could even get to a point where you could have multiple people in this and multiple jobs. For example, this customer here has 4 jobs in there. If you click into one of those jobs, you're easily able to find the roof report, the DIY, the proposals, and any notes that you've left for that job as well, so that your customer service shines. How did these companies grow, Pete? It's usually from repeat business and word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I love about this too is that, one of the key pieces, like even if you're starting a business, if you started a business yesterday, right? And let's say there's 3 of us in this business, an office manager, maybe myself and another salesperson out in the field trying to sell some roofs. The fact that any of us can take a phone call at any time from any customer and be able to easily find the information because it's all in one place is key, right? Because now, no matter which one of us gets on the phone with this customer, we can all talk educatedly about what is happening with their project. Where, the old fashioned way of doing it, of, hey, I'm writing everybody's name down in a notebook, or I'm sticking everybody's information in a manila folder. But what if my aunt back at the office has the manila folder and I'm in my truck, 2 hours away at a job site? Now I've got to call her to find the information out, call back. It just becomes not a great customer experience, right? So the fact that everything lives under one umbrella is a huge, huge piece to selecting a piece of software like this. No matter how small you are, having that organization right from the very beginning is huge, because now, regardless of how many people I have to add, to stay on top of, our accounts, everybody's in this one place. Everybody can find out whatever they need to find out about this customer, find out what the status of that customer is, and be able to easily relate that information, so that we don't have a situation of like, oh, I'm gonna have to call you back. Or like you said, the rustling through the papers on my dashboard because I don't remember. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just easy to find stuff, very easy to maneuver through here and see that customer, see that customer's jobs, see the status of their contract. So regardless of whether I'm, in their driveway or, 40 miles away in the office, I can speak to this exactly the same way.
And you want to have that communication, because customer service is so key for that repeat business. You can do a bang up job on that roof. You could really make it something beautiful, show them that you really took care of the rose bushes and everything. But you have one negative customer experience when they're looking to pay the bill or they're asking questions. That is going to go so much further. So, really having a centralized system like this where you can pop back and forth from customers. While you were talking, I went to like 6 different customers just to show, but how easy it is to like, hey, it's Bob's Roofing here, or Nick's Roofing, because I'm Nick. I don't know why it would be Bob, but Nick's Roofing here. How can I help you out? It's like, oh, hey, it's Mary here. I was just trying to see the status to see if I could get a copy of my signed quote. I can't seem to find it. Okay, Mary, what's your last name? Oh, it's Mary Sweeney. Okay, and I could open it up here. And are we talking the job on 63 Hill Drive? Yeah, it is. Okay, well, let me just quickly open that up for you here, and then I could view proposal. Like, that's how quick it could be. It could be on the phone, because we are a web-based product. You could do it on your phone, your tablet, or whatever. But it really kind of streamlines that process for the customer service standpoint. But even after that, we talked about standard operating procedure. How does this work in your day to day? Customer services aside, I think that we really have a system here that is going to make it for you as a sole prop company up to someone, if you're a sales manager on this call or watching later, trying to figure out, how do I keep track of like how my reps are doing. Having a system like this with this jobs really helps out. So again, I'm a storyteller, Pete. I'm going to kind of walk us through this as if we're in a real situation. Sound good?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome. So I always like starting up on this jobs page. The jobs page is really going to encompass everything, and I can get so much done from this one page. And it's going to involve everything else: the ones below with the customers, and the ones above it with the measurements and proposals. So if there's a situation where I get a phone call from someone saying, "Hey, my name is John, and I live at, let's just say, 10 Hill Drive in Aurora," I could then open this up. I could link it from my company cam account, watch one of our previous master classes if you do have any questions about that, or book a meeting in the chat there. We'd be happy to chat with you to show you how it works so well together. And you can create that account right there. And from there, here we are. I'm just going to link this account. So from there, I have opened up this actual job here and open this up here. I'm actually going to pop back in because I clicked on the wrong one. Hill Drive, Aurora. Click on there. From here, I could add the customer's information. So I still have them on the phone. Like, John, that sounds good. What's your name? Your name is John Robinson. That sounds good. I'm going to add this in. From here, I could then add in John's email and I can grab his phone number. And from that quick little interaction with John on the phone, I'm able to get everything that's going to be on that piece of paper and more. I have his address, I have his information. I could assign it to one of my reps from here. I could make a note saying John called in about a leak in his front valley. Hit submit. And I have everything right here, right now. So you have that customer record built. I could also assign it to one of my reps, say Oscar, my rep is going to be taking this now. And I could hop back into this job and then I could do what is the next step of the process. I've made the note, I got the customer information. The next step, I got to get a measurement on that roof. So from here, I can just click on order a report. I don't have to hop out to a different tool. I don't have to even hop up to a different tab that I have here. I can go in here, select the location of the roof, say that I want all the buildings, like the sheds and the pool and the garage and everything, add it in and order a report, and it's built out into my system right now. It's really that easy. And you've already started so many steps. Pete, you were in construction. How long did getting a phone call, collecting the information about the lead, making notes, building in a customer, and getting a measurement on a report normally took?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, if you're taking that phone call, you're setting up some type of initial meeting before you've done anything, right? You have to go out there and potentially see what's going on, and you can't really do anything until you go out there and see the scope of the project and meet that customer. So, best case scenario, you may schedule an appointment with them while you have them on the phone, but that's about as far as you're taking it, right? Where here, I have the ability to grab that info, probably schedule that appointment and set it up if I need to go out there. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting for that appointment, I can go in and I can pull my measurement. I can potentially create a proposal here so that when I do show up for that meeting, rather than that just being an initial meeting of me, shaking hands and taking a walk around the property and seeing what we've got, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to get a contract signed. And that's a huge change in the way we do business as a contractor. It's just going to streamline our process so much, and it makes us so much more efficient. And just imagine wowing that customer, right? You show up there to do that same appointment that 5 years ago you would have been getting a ladder out and just having an initial inspection. Now I can do that inspection, but hey, while I'm here, I took the liberties of already pulling a measurement on your house. Here's a proposal that I created with some of the products that we offer. Boom, look at this. Like, we're ready to roll. I mean, if that doesn't impress a customer, I don't know what will.
It's turning this into a very professional operation. I've been a roofer since I was 12. I know that especially in the 90s and early 2000s, we weren't really looked up as like a very professional profession, right? Like it's not
Sure.
that, but now we're turning this into like a professional situation where we're being productive, we're being proactive, and what is this going to do? It's going to increase the profitability of our sales process. So in this situation, if you just hop back out, you could see that now my rep Oscar has a job at 10 Hill Drive for John Robinson in here, and he has a measurement that it's processing. If Oscar were to hop in this because it assigned to him, he would see that I left him a note at 5:16 p.m. that he's got a leak in the front valley. All that communication's already done. This could also be done if you're looking not at a bigger company where you have sales reps, but what about you are a two-person team. You got someone on the phones, an office admin person, and then you have someone kind of running around out there. That office person can get all that information, put it in here. So when the guy on the road gets out to the job and takes a look at his phone, he has all this information as well. So he can even go in and say he's out there and he just happens to be in that area. and he wants to just draw it out, he can click on DIY measurement and pick a measurement that works best for him. Again, we have the dates and everything built in. And instead of spending $10 on this measurement, it's anywhere from 0 to $3.50 per measurement. Not what you would call expensive, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the incredible part about this is, like you said, if I happen to be in the area, rather than like traditionally, if we used aerial measurements, we would have to pull a measurement and then we're kind of stuck waiting on it. If he happens to be in that area and he's like, "Man, I could run by there right now. Let me do that." He could literally pull this DIY up, and like you see, Nick is going to draw this entire roof in a matter of minutes here, and immediately get the measurements kicked back to him. So now it's a situation where, where before he would probably have to just say, you know what, go ahead and schedule something with them. Let's pull a measurement a couple days from now. When the measurement comes back, I'll run out there and do my inspection, and then I'll come back to the office and, use my measurement to build some type of a proposal. I mean, he literally could DIY this while he's sitting in their driveway and use it to create a proposal. I mean, if that's not the most efficient process ever, I don't know what is.
And talking about professionalism and really opening this up, what about the situation, and I'm sure everybody on this call has been there before, where you're at a house doing an estimate, doing a sales call, you're talking to the customer, and you come outside and one of the neighbors is standing there. And you're like, oh, hey, how can I help you out? Oh, I'm just wondering, are you doing roofing quotes? Yeah, I am. Can you quickly just give me a quote? Because I'm curious about it. I'm not too sure. You don't know how qualified this person is. You don't know if it's a sales opportunity or if it's just a tire kicker. But in a situation like this, more cracks at the bat, right? Pete, you coach baseball. The more at bats
Absolutely.
you're going to get, the better chance you're going to get to getting out there. So you're going to be able to go into your truck real quick, take a look at this roof, realizing that it's a 412 that we're dealing with here. The bottom here is going to be closer to a no, it's a 412 as well. And I can just go into my truck real quick, slap a pitch on this, and get them out a quote instantly. You could also brand these reports, and going back to being very presentable and professional, you could take that chance where you're in front of them. You've showed that you're very, very professional, that you're to it and everything, and show now another customer. That word of mouth carries, and it's going to go down that street. You're going to find out everything there. So you can look back into this now sales process. You see 10 Hill Drive, Oscar has got a DIY in here, and he has all the information that he needs. He could say that, look at the roof, no hope of repair, going to look at full replacement. You can have a note communicating back to your office. So you have this information to, again, what we said at the beginning of the call. That customer calls up, they want answers. They don't want to hear, well, actually, Oscar was the one on your roof. Let me get him to give you a call back. No, the notes are in here. So you have that there. You're like, yeah, actually, it looks like Oscar looked at the roof, says that there's not really a good option for repair, but he will get you at a quote for full replacement. It's so easy now.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and that's the communication part is a huge piece, right? Like
Mhm.
I came from a CRM, right? Before a roofer, and that was a huge part of why a lot of people got on the CRM was the fact that they struggled with communication across their team. They struggled with the ability for someone in the office to know what was going on with a job or to know where a salesman was at in the process, right? So having that visibility and that transparency of the process, no matter who picks up the phone, is huge, right? Because now, I can speak just as educatedly if I'm the, office manager or someone just who randomly happened to be walking by a ringing phone. I can say, oh, yeah, give me a minute. Let me go in there and look you up and figure out what's going on with your job, right? As opposed to, like you said, oh, no, your sales rep is Oscar. I'm going to have him call you back, right? That's not a great user experience anymore, right? The customers are definitely changing, right, in this
Mhm.
market, and they're becoming more instant gratification, and they expect you to have the ability to, one, quote very quickly, but two, keep them in the loop as to what's going on with their job, right? And
Of course.
it's crazy to see how the whole industry is changing. But like you said, I think that tools like this are really helping contractors to become more professional looking and more streamlined and more organized, which just bodes well for all of us, right?
It really, like, a rising tide raises all ships, right? So if you're looking back into this job situation, Oscar can also, and talking about scaling your business as well, Oscar doesn't have to know everything about roofing right off the bat when you hire him. He could just be really good with customer service. He could be from Chick-fil-A, he could be from your favorite sushi restaurant, he could be from the car dealership. You just know that he has great customer skills and you want to bring him in. Well, he could draw up this report, or you could do it for him, or you could order it for him. And if he's on site, he can take those measurements that are already in that job file and create a proposal right away. You can create a repair and maintenance template right away as well, and it's going to calculate all those quantities. You don't need to know that a bundle of GAF timberline is 32.8 square feet per bundle. And then you got to calculate with that and the pitch increase and what's the waste factor because there's a lot of hips. That's a lot of information to know. That's not going to be a very easily scalable business. But in a situation like this, I just clicked on a button, say create proposal from that same job. We're still in that same job link that we started this call in. And I was able to get a repair quote that I could then just add in the margin that I need. I know that I don't have a flat roof on this one, even though it was a template, so I could delete this option. I have a roof maintenance option where I could then have them as one quantity. And then I have a full shingle replacement where all the values have already been implemented. And I have an upgrade option to ridge vent as well, which I could just crank up here. Not a lot of ridge on this. I have a repair PDF. I have a brochure about the shingles and the colors. I have my installation includes. I have my terms and conditions, and I have my introduction about the company, telling the story about why we're here, who we are, and everything else like that. And you're able to build that out in seconds and provide it to that customer. So whether it's that customer that you just talked to and you came out, they phoned in, and the John Robinson, and you came out there and you're getting them the quote, or it's that customer while you're at John's house that knocked on your truck window and said, "Hey, I just live next door. Can I have a quote?" You can get them out something super quick that is going to look as good as this in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and I think that, there's kind of two sides to this, right? And I think you touched on that is you're creating this incredible customer experience, right? You're creating an experience where now you're much more prepared, you're much more professional looking when you roll out to this customer. There's a lot of information here. So from a customer standpoint, I was talking earlier on a podcast about how the buyer is becoming more educated, right? They don't have to rely on what you're saying anymore. They can go to Google and find out information on the types of shingles that you're offering, or, your business through Google reviews and things like that. So, being able to provide a really clean, professional looking customer experience is important. On the flip side of that, though, what you touched on is a huge piece, right? Being able to standardize your process so that as you bring new people in, they can roll right into that process and be able to easily do this. So, I mean, how many roofing companies have you talked to, Nick, where the only person that can quote is the owner, or maybe the owner and one other person, because those are the only two guys that have enough experience to actually quote a job?
Hmm. Exactly. And it's just going to bog down that process. It's going to have that traditional issue that we always have in the roofing industry when we're talking to homeowners. I called him and he came out and he looked at it, but I haven't heard from him in like 2 days. Like that's the thing that we always got. We used to have a marketplace at Roofr. We used to sell roofs all the time with roofers. And the question I would always get on the phone is, "Where's that quote? I know I talked to you, but where's that quote? I would like to get this ball moving. Like I'm not calling because I need a roof 4 months from now. I need a roof now. Like my roof is leaking and it's ruining everything. I got a dinner party coming in 2 weeks. I got my daughter's birthday party. They need the stuff now, and that's a traditional thing. It took too long to get there. Traditional lead to close is 24 to 48 hours because you got to set the appointment, drive out there, measure it by hand build that quote, send it out to them, wait for the signature. Now you have something like this. It's not a quote. This is a presentation. This is your sales presentation to the client. Like you said, it's 2022. People want things now, but they want to be educated. They want to feel comfortable in what they're buying. And to be honest, roofs ain't cheap. You're looking at like anywhere from average pricing from like $5,000 to $10,000 for a small house. People don't have that much money in their savings. They're going to need to finance something like this. So they're going to need to know that they're comfortable with this person. So if you give them something like this, where it's a presentation where you're talking about your company first, John DeRosa from SRS Academy talks about having them have buy-in on you as a company is your first step to winning a deal. Make them feel comfortable that they know that you know what you're doing. You've been here before. You're going to have my back if anything goes wrong. So why not create a why choose us page or an introduction about like the years that you've been in business, the things that you focus on, any awards or certifications that you have. So right off the bat, like, damn, I'm into this company. I feel comfortable with this. And then they can go into options. So now you have John DeRosa says buy in on the product and the options. I'm giving them the cheap options first, which is a shingle repair option, which seems pretty good. But I could educate them on like this is a temporary fix. I understand, Mrs. Jones, that you're having some problems with your roof right now and it's leaking. Now I could patch it, but I can't guarantee that work. See, the problem with your roof is it's past its lifespan. It's deteriorated beyond repair. I can patch it up, and I know money's tight right now, but I just want to let you know. So we have this option for shingling here, but I also have this option for roof maintenance, and it is an extra cost. But what that's going to do, Mrs. Jones, is I'm going to be able to come out to your house and make sure that everything's taken care of 3 times a year. It's going to be $750 on top of that, and I'm going to be making sure that you're okay there. But the other option, Mrs. Jones, is I got a full shingle replacement. It's really not as expensive as you think, and this is everything that I'm going to be providing you. I'm going to be doing premium shingles. I'm going to be doing starters, ice and water, synthetic. It's going to be waterproof before I put those shingles on, Mrs. Jones, so you're not going to have to worry about another leak. I know it's scary, but it's only this much more. And then you could talk about like if you do want to upgrade, like I know it's really hot in here right now. You want to improve that ventilation in there. We have this ridge vent that's only $214. And right there, you've made them feel comfortable with your company. Then you've given them options and they have buy-in on that product. And now you're giving them features here. And then you can give them buy-in on the actual material as well by showing them this stuff, showing them photos from Company Cam that you've uploaded in that have been annotated and marked up. That really opens up the door for you to flip that iPad around and click on multiple options. If she was still thinking about the shingle repair and the option here, it's only 2,140. What happens if I do that? It's only double the price. It's really not that much when you're looking at it. So you're giving them options to make them feel comfortable in you and buying that. And as a new business owner, that's going to be everything to you. That one sole job might have paid for your roofer tool, your suite of tools for the entire year.
Yeah, that's a huge thing to note, right? The beauty of this tool, if you're starting out, it has what Nick just showed you. It has the ability to take you from that lead coming in the door, tracking that customer, being able to easily have access to that customer wherever you're at, whether it's in the field, whether it's in the office, being able to create that measurement, create that proposal, have all of that right there under one hood, not have to have multiple softwares in order to do it. And the price is so cost effective that literally winning this one job will cover it for the year. Right. So
And
then
then some.
everything, yeah. And then some, so then, every job that is won directly because I'm using this software after that is just bonus round. It's all pure profit. So, it makes it a no brainer really to get on a software like this, like Roofr. You don't necessarily have to come out of the box and have, five different software platforms. You don't have to have, these big, huge CRMs. Like, you just need a place to manage your customers, keep them organized, have access to them, be able to see where they're at in the process. I mean, that's the
And
key, right, Nick?
this is the startup. Like this is exactly what you need to kind of get your business going. And we're not saying down the road you do not need a CRM. CRMs are huge. They're important. They're there for you. But there's a time and a place. I highly recommend anybody who just started their business and they're looking to start their business. Listen to, I think it's episode 2, Pete, of the Roofer Report podcast with Latif from Boss Up.
Yeah.
Really great information on when do you need it and how do you know when you need it, because it really opens it up. And then there's another episode, like I mentioned before, with Dave Sullivan from the Roofing Show podcast that is just fantastic as well, because you're going to be able to amalgamate everything into one thing. I know for me, I was roofing since I was 12. You better believe I'm not very tech able. Like I'm not the best at computers. So having to learn multiple tools on the fly, and it's an emergency because I got to learn them now, is going to be difficult for me to start off. I'm already going through stress starting my own company. This is going to be more stress added on. So having something where I know that I feel comfortable with, I can send this proposal out and get everything out in instantly, and being able to have a company with people like our onboarders, our customer success managers, who are there for you to help you build templates, help you learn the system, help you understand how everything works, makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. I mean, let's jump in just quickly into the back end. Here's a great question here by Ozzy asking, how do you set up the proposal templates? Right. And Ozzy, it's a great question. It's so simple to get the ball rolling here and be able to take your process, right, and put it on paper. So as your or put it in digital form here. That's not on paper, right? The opposite of on paper,
It's
but
computer paper.
yeah, yeah, computer paper, right? So that you can easily equate this to someone else, right? Because like Nick alluded to earlier, it's not always easy to find a roofing salesman, right? Like to find
Mm,
someone that has experience in roofing, unless you're pilfering them from another roofing company, you may need to hire outside of roofing. And how do we do that and make these people successful? We build a process that's standardized and easy for them to learn. Click a button here, you pull a measurement, you click a button here, you apply it to a template, we're ready to roll. Like you're quoting roofs now, right?
mm,
Like it's literally that simple if you build it out. So, real quickly, I guess just walk us through, Nick, how that process would be for the back end, right?
of
I'm in
course.
the back end. I want to just set this up so that, maybe I'm thinking, okay, let me get rolling here. And then I'm going to add another salesperson in a couple of months. How do I build this out so that I can just pop that salesperson in and they can literally start quoting overnight?
Yeah, and it's very simple, and that's what I was mentioning about our onboarding team and our customer success. So we can get everything moving with you. We do have a quick start option where you could actually download your actual material list and cost right from a sheet, and that takes seconds to add in right here. Or you can pick from the roofing system. Are you an Atlas person? Are you a CertainTeed person? Are you a GAF? Like, what are you using here? For this situation, let's just click on Atlas, and it will add the 6 major components that you have in a roof: the ice and water, the starters, the hip and ridge, the shingles, and the underlayment. And this will take their coverages right from the manufacturer quantities as well and add it into the catalog. From there, it adds into this catalog. All you have to do is go to this. This is a pretty like robust catalog. It's my demo one, so sorry about the length. But you could then just add in the prices for it. It cost me $200 a roll for the ice and water. It cost me, let's just say, $45 a bundle for the starters. For the shingles itself, let's say that it's costing me 47, and then for the hip and ridge, I'm looking at 35. Those are really flub numbers. I hope everybody realizes that. But it's that easy to add in that, and then adding your costs. If I want to add a description on what they are, it's there, and it's easy to do there. And then once you have your catalog built with your vent pipes, your vent stacks, your bathroom vents, everything else, drip edge, whatever you need, as easy as kind of going into here and adding in an item and just clicking in. Let's just go drip edge. There we are. I could map it from different areas on the roof. So my drip edge goes from my eaves and on my ridges. And for every 1 foot of drip edge, I want to cost $5 per foot. And it's that easy to add these things in. I'm adding in taxes because I'm in Ontario and we get taxed in the butt. But then from here, you can just go out to the templates and you can build out as many templates as you want. And this is my favorite part, right, Pete? Because you could have a template for every situation.
Everything. Yeah. And I think one thing to note back on the catalog, even, if you're just starting out, right, maybe you don't want to go as in depth, right, or get super granular. The beauty of this tool is that it's so flexible. It gives you the ability to quote any way you want. If you want
Mhm.
to quote line items and, and say, hey, here's the items that I'm physically going to be putting on your roof, you can set that up as simple as picking the manufacturer, right? If that's how you want to
Mhm.
start out. If you're a guy that just wants to quote scope of work, you just want to create yourself a really nice description of the work you're going to be doing. Hey, I'm going to install a GAF roof system. This is some of the things we're going to do. We're going to check this and we're going to do this, right? Just create yourself a nice scope of work, put in your per square price, map the map the roofing squares to it. And literally you can create a solid, nice looking proposal with essentially one line item, right, Nick?
Yeah. You could really have it there. You could have things like zeroed out and stuff. And it doesn't have to be like that big proposal I just showed with 4 different options and everything. It could be as simple as this. Here, I'm a GAF Timberline HDZ guy. I have just my scope of work. I have this here. If I wanted to just make it as a one item thing, I can. All I need is my brochures and my terms and conditions on what I need, and that's it. You have a beautiful quote that you could send out to the client instantly, and it doesn't take long to do, and that's what we're here to help you do, is get to that next level. If you do want to create a template for every situation where you have a repair one, you have a shingle flat aluminum one, you have a metal soffit fascia one, you want a good, better, best, you can. And the possibilities are really endless with this tool. I created a crazy commercial roofing one in here for a client that can map literally every item on the roof. You can do that. But when you're first starting out, the best thing to do, get your feet under you, understand what are your needs to have and what are your wants to have, and start off with those needs. You could then work towards those wants. And the beauty thing about Roofr is our team is here to help you out find those and get to that level. But start off with that single item option here, where you have like an atlas template where you just have your items here, the basic things you need on the roof. You have your atlas brochure so the customer can see these, and your terms and conditions. You want to see how good this one looks, because it's that easy just to pull this in and use this measurement and build out a quote in a matter of seconds that will probably put your competition to shame, because it's just one item, one option, but the way that it's delivered, the customer service and transparency that you're about to deliver is going to be second to none in your area.
Yeah, and one of the things that I want to really touch on here, because like I said, I came from a CRM background and I saw it over and over and over again, where you'd get someone who started out, right? Obviously, money's tight. You don't have a ton of customers. You're just looking for the most cost effective way to do things. So there are free quoting softwares out there. You can download some apps that will create some basic estimates and things like that. And we would see guys use them. But what would end up happening is, 6 months down the road, once you're using that thing and you start to get comfortable with it, you realize that you need more, right? You realize that it's very bare bones. It's very basic. It doesn't give you the ability to really customize it. It's all templated, so it doesn't really allow much flexibility, and you end up outgrowing it, right? And as your business grows, you end up outgrowing those types of tools. The one thing that I love about Roofr is, like you said, we could start off. If I'm just the most basic like maybe I'm just doing repairs,
Mm-hmm.
and all I need is some place to throw in one or two line items and maybe like a little about us page, and be able to just throw that out there. You can do that. You can start there, and just do repairs in here, right? And then as the business grows, so does the platform, right? The platform grows, right? Maybe I become a more line item estimator, or I grow the scope of work of what I'm doing. Maybe I'm doing full replacements now. Maybe I have some other sales guys in here, so I create them some templates. Maybe we're doing siding repairs now, so we create a template for that, right? All the way up to the point of, hey, now we're doing a bunch of stuff. We're doing windows, we're doing doors. Like our business has grown like crazy. We have all this stuff we want to offer now. Now we can do multiple options. Now we can do good, better, best, right? And I've never had to leave Roofr, right? I've never had to leave the software. I've never outgrown it. And that's a huge thing to keep in mind. When you start loading your information into these platforms, you want a platform that, one, allows you to do business the way you want to do it, but also can grow with you as your business grows and changes, right? And so many times we try to go the cheaper route, especially early on in the business, because it may save us some money, but we just constantly keep outgrowing those products and have to keep moving our information. And every time we move, we lose a little bit, right? It may
Yes,
be photos,
exactly.
or it may be, a contract, or whatever the case may be, but we may lose some information. So why not get on a platform right now that allows you to work in the most simplistic form, but 2 years from now, when I have 40 guys under me, let's hope, in a couple of offices, and we're running retail work and we're running insurance work and all these things. And, I've got a siding crew and I've got a window crew. guess what? I can still quote all that stuff in Roofr. I don't have to go anywhere else to do that. And that's a huge, huge thing to keep in mind when you're looking at these software packages. And one of the things that Roofr can do for you from day one to however long you decide to use this product.
Exactly. And you can see right here, I've been building while you've been talking there, I've been building a process and I'm just going through for a full replacement option. I'm just going through what I need on there. I need a starter. I did a drip edge. Then you put on ice and water. Then you have synthetic. Then you have the starters. Then you have the shingles itself. So let's go with the duration shingle. You could add all these things in and they just slowly build into a full system. And you can have it all built out in a matter of minutes and kind of start, if you want to start on just one option, a repair option. If you want to have all this in here, you can have it in there. But you could really open up the door to having a system, like you said, grow with you. You're not having to upgrade into a system. You could have the system grow with you as you go along, and adding in the brochures and stuff for transparency is going to make a big difference to these your clients and get that repeat business and get you over that 2 or 5 year hump.
Yeah, and one thing to note too is, yes, this is a digital tool. That doesn't mean you can't use it in person. Like
Mhm.
Nick showed earlier, how you can DIY or sitting right there at the house, right? I can quickly draw, and I can have that feedback instantly from that measurement tool. Well, you can do the same thing here. You can create that proposal and have a sign now option. Take it right back up to the house and present that thing in person, just like you would 5 years ago before COVID, right? You don't have to email it to the customer to get their signature. You don't have to send it off and then follow up a couple days later. If I'm there, I'm DIYing this thing really quick. Let's say, I'm rolling that straight into a proposal and taking it back up there. Hey, I did an inspection. I pulled a measurement. I created a proposal. I probably been at the house a total of what, Nick? 20 minutes to do all of that,
Yep.
and here it is, right? And you can get this customer to sign on the spot. And that's a huge advantage, right? Because we often talk about, speed to lead, right? Like, how quickly can I get access to this customer and how quickly can I get this customer to sign? I'm probably in this case getting customers to sign contracts before you've even come out and run your appointment.
Yeah, you're breaking the system, and that's the way to kind of get around that situation. In that time, I was able to create a template, create a full template with brochures and everything in it, and a multi-option proposal with 4 different options in here for this customer. You could really, really assist with them and making sure that they feel comfortable with you, you feel comfortable with them, and that speed to lead. Forget about having competition that you have to deal with when you're showing them something that's so comprehensive, so detailed, so informative. They're not going to look at the other competition. They're going to look at who provided them the most comfort. When you're spending this much money, comfort is everything, and people are going to buy from the person that they feel comfortable with. Make them feel comfortable with a beautiful presentation, and make yourself feel comfortable by making sure that you have a system that's going to take care of you in the long run. You're going to get to that starting your company up to those big boys. We all always look up to those big companies. How did they do that? How much like blood, sweat, and tears that they poured into it. Yeah, they did, because they didn't have the software in place like this. So they had to grind, they had to do all that work. But now you can give that same blood, sweat, and tears and apply it into growing your company faster by having systems in place that you don't have to bust your, part of my French, ass for.
Yeah. And the one thing that's great about this too is that you can be the first person in the door with the most professional looking proposal. And guess what? Everybody that comes in after you and gives this same customer proposal, let's say you're in a really, maybe I'm in a very competitive market. Maybe I'm in Dallas. Maybe I'm in somewhere, in Florida, South Florida, right? Where this person may end up getting 5, 6, maybe 10 quotes, right? If let's say if they had storm damage, right? I'm easily going to be the first person in the door because this process is insanely quick. But now everybody that comes in after me is going to get compared to me,
Yeah.
right? And my quote is going to be not only the first one they got, but the most professional looking one they got. So I'm going to stand out from the crowd all day long, and that's an important factor in them choosing you, right? Not only are they more comfortable with you, but now they're comparing everybody else to you, rather than you coming in potentially last and having to get compared to the, everyone who's been in the door before you. Here's your opportunity to kind of set the standard that all the other guys are going to be judged by.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like, just to like summarize everything on that whole process and how easy it is, that John Robinson guy that we were doing from the entire process, I should go back in here now, and that John Robinson now wanted to ask a question. And oh, that's why, because I didn't spell John right. Go in here and find John Robinson, find the job that he was associated with. And now everything that we were doing, all those different templates, I already have in the same file. I didn't have to search for them. They're in one spot under one customer with all my notes, my measurements, and everything. We're bringing everything together to make your life easier so that you could spend more time on growing your business, spend more time doing the things that you love, spend more time spending with your family. That's such a huge piece that we overlook a lot of times when we're trying to grow a business. Things fall to the wayside. Don't let that happen, because we have something that's going to help you succeed with less effort. And we're here to help you out with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit us up if you're already a Roofr user, jump on a demo with us, take a look at how we can potentially help you out. Like we always say, we're probably one of the most underutilized group of experts out there. Our customer success team, our support guys, Nick and I, a lot of other people in house are spending all day talking to roofers, right? So we get a lot of insight into how people are doing business and how they're becoming successful, what's working for them, what's not working for them. So take advantage of that. Book some time with us. Say, hey, here's my process. Here's what I'm currently doing. How can Roofr improve that? How can you guys, what suggestions can you guys make? What have you seen people do differently than me that's really worked well? That's the great way to do it. Like just reach out to us, hit us up. We'll just walk you through what you guys are doing versus what the product can do for you, and maybe help you scale a little bit. Maybe whatever your why is, right? Like whatever you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you're trying to scale. Maybe you're trying to standardize your process, whatever the case may be.
Exactly. We love talking to you guys. We love this industry that we're in. We're just looking to help you get to that next level. And with stuff like this, we can go over the biggest mistakes that we've heard, that sales mistakes that we've made as personally, or things that we've seen where we've been able to fix. We'd love to show you how to be more productive, more profitable in your sales process as well, and to look professional while you're doing it. It doesn't hurt you to look good while doing it, right? So Pete
That's
does
for
it all the
sure.
time. He looks good all the time.
Freshly shaved, right?
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you guys jumping on. This has been a great topic. We hopefully that you guys learned a lot about how the product can help and how important that process really is, and getting that process streamlined and set up, to keep the business running smoothly. And like I said, if you guys need any help or have any questions, feel free to reach out to us here at Roofr. Any of us are always happy to jump on a call with you. And thanks, Nick, for running us through it again.
Of
And
course.
yeah, man, we hope to see you all at the next Roofr Masterclass.
Thanks again, guys. Talk to you soon.